Good afternoon. How are you today? Well, it's in the 30s, just about freezing. A lot of the snow has left the ground. Sky is gray, as you can see. So it's not too bad. I hope to take a longer walk today. I think there'll be less ice. So, what's the big news? There's a Shakespearean quote you've heard me repeat and mangle at different times, and it's from Macbeth, and it is that guilt spills itself for fear of being spilt. I think that applies to Trump at his Hitler-like rally over the weekend. We know about him basically saying he'd pardon anybody, so therefore they could commit crimes and not be prosecuted. Of course, he has to win the presidency in order to do that, but that's one of his promises, and it's one of the ways to say to everybody to be desperate enough to help him because they figure they get a get out of jail card at the other side of this. But he's done something different now, which is where the guilt spills itself can come. He's been threatening the prosecutors, and I think he's focusing on Georgia, because Georgia, he realizes, is one of his weakest points, because he's on tape basically saying, ignore the election results, give me as many votes as Biden got to beat me, plus one vote so I can beat him. Meadows is on the phone with him, and there are other people involved, but the preeminent voice in this conversation is Trump. And maybe a prosecutor who's not a federal prosecutor is in a better position to actually bring this guy to justice. Now, the threats, it seemed to me, are proof of consciousness of guilt. That is, if you're telling people I'm going to pardon you for crimes I've committed and I want you to commit to help me be restored to the White House, and if I'm threatening what you should do to the prosecutors, which is to obstruct their investigation, and the prosecutors have asked for security from the FBI. If I were the prosecutor in that office, we'd bring his ass into the office and ask him what the hell he was talking about, president or not. And that's what should happen today. And if it didn't, it tells you the malaise, if you will, to borrow from a phrase that Carter never used, but it was about, there's a malaise, I think, in our criminal justice system in which none of these people have the nerve to actually go after these people who are violating the law. It's terrible. So, but I think the good thing is the fact that he's striking out at his own Hitler-like rallies means that he's anxious that this is the one that could get him. It's like he told us that the principal opponent in the presidential election would be Biden by launching and attacking him, so that by running him down, he figured he could get reelected, but he didn't. And so now he's telling us, look, I don't worry about New York. I don't worry about sleepy over at Justice, Mr. Garland. But this woman in Fulton County, Georgia, I'm worried about her. And that's why he mentioned her at the rally. That's why he's threatened her. That's why he's told people that he would give them a pardon. So we should be pushing back. And that is the sickness in America, that these guys and gals are violating our laws and nobody is doing anything about it. I once jaywalked at a Democratic convention in California, and a cop stopped me immediately for doing it. Now, I talked my way out of it because I was in a conversation and I walked with others. And there was a Washington Post reporter there, and he wrote it up as my great advocacy saved me from being prosecuted. Okay, so that's about Trump. The second thing is there is chaos in our schools, and it should have been expected. Students are staying away, parents are keeping their children away, people can't show up for work, people are getting sick, and so that's our school system. And yet there are other people saying, just embrace the virus, it'll be okay. Crazy. The The last thing that I think about before my battery might fail me is what's happening at the UN. As you may know or remember or be intimately involved, the Russian government has a veto on anything the Security Council could do. Nevertheless, they show up and they're arguing in plain view what's happening in the Ukraine. And one of the things the Russians said is, what makes you think there are Russians, troops there? Where do you get this idea? Well, we get it because they're there. And there are more coming. And the most recent item that suggests we're about to have conflict there is the fact that they're bringing blood to the front, if you will. That is, so that the wounded can be taken care of in the field of battle. So I think it's days. I think it's a pipe dream. It won't happen. But I would prefer it didn't happen. And I do think it means a lot to Europe and to us. So before I lose my ability to speak to you by this device, I'm going to say goodbye and tell you that as cold as it is, it's really pretty out here. So talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.